Pope Benedict XVI has decided to step down as the head of the Catholic Church, and we got reaction from a well-known bishop. So what do you think about his decision to step down?
I think it was a very courageous decision on his part. I've had the chance of being in his company a number of times and have noticed on the last couple of visits that I've had to Rome that the Pope has been showing signs of a weakening physical condition. He's shorter, he's thinner, much more difficult for him to walk. And I think that obviously the work that we're all about is to spread the good news of Jesus, which takes a great deal of energy. And that he recognizes that he doesn't have that physical energy any longer has prompted him to make what I believe to be a very, very courageous decision.
What happens now as far as picking a new pope?
Well, first of all, the cardinals can't gather to start to consider the election of a new pope until after the chair of Peter is vacant. The very next day, the cardinals will gather together, and the first thing that they will do is to determine when the conclave is going to begin. Now, the conclave is the fancy word for the meeting of the cardinals, at which time they will vote on who the new pope will be. Now, generally speaking, this is something we haven't experienced in 700 years, but normally what happens is after a pope dies, there are 9 days of mourning for the pope who's died, and then they go into a retreat and then spend a couple of days in prayer, and then they go into the Sistine Chapel to begin their deliberations. Since we haven't had this kind of experience, we'll have to wait till March the 1st to find out exactly what will be the steps. I'm sure that they'll have several days of retreat, several days of prayer before they go for the actual voting process.
Yes, it was saying that it's the information I was reading was saying it's a historical decision for him to step down because no one has stepped down since 1415.
Well, that's exactly true. And so I think if you talk to the majority of people today, they probably would tell you they didn't realize that it was possible for a pope to resign. And as a matter of fact, there are a lot of questions that people have about, well, what will we call Pope Benedict after he's no longer the Pope? And how will he dress? And will he appear in public at all? So we'll have to kind of stay tuned and see what happens over the course of the next weeks.
There's also some talk, Bishop Zubik, about them picking maybe a younger pope. Is there a possibility that that can happen?
Well, I think if you take a look at the elections of the popes over the course of the last 100 years, there's some truth that every other election the cardinals pick somebody who is younger. Pope Benedict obviously was the oldest pope elected. He was 78. But before that, Pope John Paul II was elected at the age of 57. Now, whether or not people consider 57 to be young, I certainly do. But I think that's kind of the pattern that has happened. There's been an alternating direction that they choose people of different ages. I think it's just important for us to stay tuned. It's a very interesting process that the people of all faiths are very much interested in because of the important role that the Pope has and the impact that he makes on the world at large. And so just encourage people to pray for the cardinals as they will be making their decision and wait and see what happens.
Thank you. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
You Danielle. Thanks.
American Urban Radio Networks is Urban America's radio leader.